Hi everyone, it's Jennifer McCreath. It is Sunday night, May 19th, 2013. Just got off the phone with Lee Sanders from Infinity One Productions. Perhaps best known, or among their known things, are the RCWR Wrestling Show. I'm going to move over, get a little more light on the subject here. There we go. So, for those of you who watch my videos, you know me quite well and know that professional wrestling is something that's very close to my heart. And one thing you don't hear about too often is a member of the transgender community taking an interest in professional wrestling. And 101 for you folks. Transgender and transsexual basically are terms that define someone who was born with a medical birth defect in which they were required to undergo a change of hormones and or a change in sexual organs. And that's exactly what's happened to me. Born with male parts, but I am a woman, and I've gone through hormones and surgery. I'm now female. Testosterone has done some damage to my voice that's irreversible, so kind of stuck with a deep voice for the rest of my life. But I'm a woman, and I like pro wrestling, and yeah, I called into their show there, and I guess they weren't convinced that it was a legitimate caller, and they hung up on me. Shame on you, but no hard feelings. I do enjoy the tweets I exchange with Lee and his team there. Very knowledgeable group of people following the sport of pro wrestling, and that's much appreciated by me and other wrestling fans. That it's been an interesting business to follow over the years. There used to be a lot of taboo topics, specifically with you got rival wrestling competitions, and they weren't allowed to really acknowledge that the other existed, or they wouldn't talk about each other. Now we finally have social media that's opened the door for third parties, such as Lee, such as myself, such as our friends up at the Score TV, who will talk about, I guess, the characters as well as the actual actors and actresses who are the athletes. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about what we just saw tonight, the World Wrestling Entertainment's Extreme Rules pay-per-view. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm getting old, but wrestling pay-per-views just don't seem to be what they used to be in the 80s. When Hulk Hogan slammed Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3, that was something that you'll never forget. I think what you look for at a pay-per-view are, you want some sort of twist and swerve. The drama, the storyline's a critical part of the wrestling program as a whole. It's not just the physicality of the matches, although I definitely want good matches. So I was kind of hoping that there'd be some sort of a swerve here. I was hoping to see either Brock Lesnar or Ryback join the Shield. I knew the Shield were going to win their matches and take home the championships, which they did. Now, I guess we did not see anyone join them. I guess the question is, well, where do we go from here? And what do you think of the show? Well, I think the Shield needs to get themselves one more guy. We've got three young guys that have dominated the sport for about 6 months, but to me, having someone like a Ryback jump on board with a world title, you put the you get an established star who's also young, big, muscular kind of guy like Ryback. Throw him in there with those three guys. You've got the greatest faction since the Four Horsemen back in the days when they would hold every single title that existed. And I think it would be fascinating to have the Shield, a 4-team Shield, holding world title, U.S. title, and tag team titles, and nobody able to beat them for like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months. Let them just dominate and dominate and dominate. And just, titles don't seem to mean anything anymore. It used to be if you had the world title, you were the star, you only fought on the big cards, and it was major news when you actually lost the belt, because you'd only see the world title change hands once a year. I guess the other issue is you used to see a lot of mid-carders, and one by one, each one would get a turn to kind of climb to the top. Now, we literally see a roster of good but not great stars. From top to bottom, we saw a lot of great wrestlers. I mean, it looked like they were building. Mark Henry was getting a huge push there about a year ago. He got injured. He comes back with a bang. He came out to the ring and just destroyed, I can't even remember, Sin Cara or whoever. He had a couple of matches against some tougher talent and destroyed them. He did his test of strengths. Everything was pointing to Mark Henry getting a big push. And all of a sudden he's losing a strap match to Sheamus. I mean, well, that knocks him down a notch. And then Fandango, someone who's he's real over with the fans. And he's been beating the heck out of Chris Jericho. He's been having dancing contests and then beating him up. He had a match at WrestleMania and beat him. I mean, to have Chris Jericho return the favor, I mean, that's nice, but where does that leave Fandango? What do you do with him now? I mean, maybe there was a push for him. I mean, if Dolph Ziggler can work his way up to championship level, I think Fandango is a world title contender as well. Yeah, I just thought there were some strange results. I'm just going to run through the card here. So do I have it here? I have it on my screen. Actually, I wrote it down here. No, it's not there either. I figured the Shield were going to win those titles, and they did. And I think they'll be great champions, and I think these will be... They need to... It's a tough battle, keeping heels. Not like the 80s anymore. The crowd loves to cheer for the heels, so we're going to have to keep the Shield extra vicious to ensure that the fans keep booing them. And Swagger Del Rio, I mean, I don't know where they're going with that. I like the gimmick with Swagger and Coulter doing the right-wing Tea Party thing and being portrayed as villains. I think that's fabulous. I love how, where 20 years ago it would have been the other way around. They would have been the heroes, and it would have been like the Russians that we were calling the bad guys. Randy Orton and Big Show, I mean, meaningless match. I really didn't care who wins, who loses. They're on the undercards. Triple H, Brock Lesnar. I guess my biggest concern with what the WWE has been doing in the past couple of years, they are taking retired or semi-retired legends and bringing them out of retirement and throwing them in main event matches. And that takes away from the stars. The Rock, we've seen Triple H. Undertaker's wrestled 2 matches in 2 years. Lesnar, 3 matches in 2 years. It's not fair to the guys that are working their butt off week after week. It's the Jerichos, it's the Sheamuses, it's the Mark Henrys. These are the guys that should be in the main event fighting for the big titles. And I literally was not paying attention to that main event tonight. Bored, didn't care. Triple H, Brock Lesnar, either stay around and fight every Monday night or get the heck out of here. If you want to build a brand, you want fan interest, you gotta get in the ring every week. Simple as that. The Shield have been doing that, and I think the Shield, no matter who they beat up, I think there's going to be the fans that are going to love them. Just heck, the Four Horsemen were villains for most of their run, and we all loved them. At least I did. So there you go. My take on the show. Still think the fact there's a couple of title changes makes it better than most other pay-per-views I've seen the past year. Did not live up to... I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Extreme Rules last year, I recall that being a much better pay-per-view. The matches, I expected more viciousness, more brutality, and it's a PG-13 Extreme Rules pay-per-view card just doesn't work for me. If you're gonna have that, do it right. Bloody it up. I wanna make it look like these guys are literally dying out there. I want to see broken bones. I want massive crimson face like Ric Flair used to always have. Still a very watchable pay-per-view, and I think it's the changing of the guard. The Shield, definitely, that's what this show was about. It was putting the Shield on the map, but I think these guys need to take on a 4th guy with the world title, and maybe it's coming. I can only fathom a guess. The John Cena Ryback match. There's another problem I have. We've had a lot of these no contest finishes. I can understand having a match end in a no contest on Raw or SmackDown, but if you're putting on a $50 pay-per-view, you need a finisher. I mean, come on, that's what we're paying for, people. I'm hoping maybe in the next pay-per-view they'll do it up properly. You'll have Cena getting ready to win the match, and all of a sudden the Shield's going to come out and help Ryback pull it off. I think Ryback as a heel and as leader of the Shield would go over very well, just like Bill Goldberg in the Streak. And then it'll be very tough to find someone. Eventually they'll have to build somebody up to come in and beat the Shield. Maybe it's The Undertaker. Maybe you milk that till next WrestleMania. Maybe you have the leader of the Shield, the Ryback, taking on The Undertaker for WrestleMania at the Streak, and maybe that's when the Streak falls. Who knows? Anyways, there you go. I rambled on for about 10 minutes, but that's what I was going to say on your radio show. Perhaps you will have me on your show next time and not hang up on me, folks. Maybe. It's up to you. Yeah. Comments, feedback. Before we go, since I'm introducing me to you folks, I'm just going to lay my camera here just for a minute. Hopefully it won't fall. Yes, it will. Because I want to show you. I got props here. I mean, you can't do one of my videos without the props. I mean, we paid a lot of money for these, so we got to show them off. That is the WWF World Heavyweight Championship belt, which I purchased 2002 at WrestleMania 18 in Toronto, Canada. Here is the real World Heavyweight Championship belt. Oh, these things are actually quite heavy, folks. Replica wrestling belts are actually, they're not real gold, but they're made of solid metal. There we go. Down they go. Woo! Ric Flair is my favorite wrestler, and in my high school yearbook way back in 1992, you will see a picture of Ric Flair in that yearbook under my name. Yeah, what else can I tell you about me and my wrestling interest? Grew up in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I don't live there now, but I went to Maple Leaf Gardens several times a year to watch live events. I've seen them all. Saw Hulk Hogan fight King Kong Bundy, Ted DiBiase. Good old when Savage had the belt, I saw him fight with the world title. Andre the Giant, I saw him fight a couple times. A couple years later, I was at the Skydome for WrestleMania 6. Unbelievable event to be able to say I was at that event. See Hulk Hogan cleanly pinned for the first time. See Andre the Giant in perhaps, I think it was his last actual match at WrestleMania. WWF and WCW came through. I saw Bret Hart win the world title over Chris Benoit at a WCW pay-per-view in Toronto. Saw Randy Orton beat Benoit a couple of years later in WWF for the world title, Randy's first title win. That was a SummerSlam. I took in one of them pay-per-views in Hamilton, I think it was called Bad Blood, where Kane and The Undertaker both pinned Steve Austin simultaneously at the same time. I saw William Regal at WrestleMania 18 in a title match, losing to Rob Van Dam. I take credit for being part of the section in the 200 level that started cheering for Hogan in WrestleMania 18 against The Rock. Match started out as Rock being the fan favorite, and people were booing Hogan. Me and my buddy were like, no, we're going to cheer Hogan. He's been loyal to Toronto for so long. So we launched Hulk Hogan's run as a face, and of course 4 weeks later he came out in the red, white, and yellow, won the world title. Pro wrestling. I moved out to Newfoundland, Canada, a little island way up here northeast, so kind of far removed from civilization, but we do have television and the internet, so haven't been to a live wrestling event probably for about 7 or 8 years, but never miss it on TV, never miss a pay-per-view, so yeah, that's it. I'm Jennifer McCreath, 39 years old. I work for the police station of all places here. I'm an athlete. I run marathons, amazingly enough. 2009 and 2010 I ran the Boston Marathon. So there you go, folks. And of course, I'm best known for my transsexual activism and focusing on helping society become better educated and aware of diversity, of all types of diversity, so that we all accept each other as human beings, no matter what we look like, what we sound like. Yeah, there you go. Me, Jennifer. I love wrestling, 101. Thanks for watching. If you're still watching, get in touch. I'd love to chat. Email info@jennifermccreath.com. Twitter, Facebook, I'm there. Find me. Take care, everyone. Have a good night.